it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, we're going to learn how to crochet the Tiny Hearts Wreath. This is a super easy little Valentine project that you can do. It doesn't have to be Valentine colors. You could do other colors as well. We're going to be using some recycled cardboard, a simple little ribbon scrap, and just some one round little hearts with some scrap yarn if you have some. This has actually been a tutorial on the Flux blog for a long time, and we never had a video for it. So I'm really excited to be sharing this video with you today. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a hot glue gun and any glue sticks that go along with your glue gun. You'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. You're going to need some ribbon, just a little tiny piece to make a hanging loop. You'll also need some kind of a stencil. I'm going to use a cookie cutter because it's a nice little heart shape. You could also print something off of the internet, maybe find a heart and cut it out and use it as kind of like a pattern. You're also going to need a piece of cardboard. Now this is just a box flap that I had from a shipping box. But you could use something like a cereal box or any source of cardboard that you can recycle and repurpose. And then for our yarn, to make all the little tiny hearts, I pulled some Valentine's colors. Now the wreath at the beginning of this video, I did use a cereal box. We're going to make a mini wreath with ours. Some people may feel comfortable freehanding the heart as well, but I am sticking with the same yarn colors. We're just going to sort of make like a mini version of it. We're going to use Red Heart Super Saver, and this is the grenadine, the perfect pink, the white, and the cherry red. We're sort of going to do a mixture of all the Valentine's colors, and we're just going to use tiny amounts of the yarn from each skein. This is a great way to use up some yarn. We just had the holidays, so if you have a lot of red yarn sitting around, this would be a great way to use some red up that you may have from other projects. The recommended hook size for this yarn is a 5.5 millimeter I crochet hook and is a 4 medium on the yarn weight scale. However, we're going to be using a 6 millimeter J crochet hook. That's going to give us a nice, slightly bigger heart for our little wreath. So what we need to do first is kind of prep our surface, because once we have prepared our surface, so I grabbed a pencil, once we've prepared our surface, we'll know how many hearts that we need to fill it up. So my cookie cutter, just to give you an idea, is about 5 inches across, okay? Now any size you use is perfectly fine, but just know that however big you go, you'll need to make enough hearts to cover it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cookie cutter and I'm just going to just trace it. And obviously before you use this for cookies, you'll want to wash it if it's been in your craft space. And I'm using a pencil to go around the edge, so you'll obviously want to wash this when you use it for cookies next time. And then I don't have a smaller one. Actually, I do. So I'm just going to take, now this one's ripply, but it'll just give us a basic idea. But it'll just give us just a general idea of the inside. So it's just kind of like a heart ring, okay? So it's a little light, but you can sort of see it there. Now, my little tiny yarn scissors here are not going to be super helpful for this project. So I do want to get my large scissors and use it to cut the cardboard. Okay, so I'm just going to cut the cardboard out, and I want to just say this does not have to be beautiful and it does not have to be perfect. We are going to be completely covering this cardboard with hearts, okay? Now, if you want to go to the store and get a fancy heart wreath form, feel free, obviously, definitely do that. But for our heart, we're just using some recycled stuff. So the dilemma now is how to cut the inside. Because nobody will see the cardboard, what you can do is sort of cut your heart. Like cut a little slit there and then just cut around the inside of it. Again, it does not have to be beautiful or perfect. This is simply a surface on which we're going to be gluing our hearts, okay? So if it looks a little rough, as mine does, totally fine. Does not have to be beautiful. Now you definitely don't want this kind of stuff hanging around because it'll stick out, but you just want a very simple, basic very rough looking, totally fine heart shape. The next thing we want to do before we start adding all the hearts is do our hanging loop, okay? So what you want to do is just cut a little piece of ribbon, and I don't want mine to be super long. Probably gonna do it, just kind of hold it on there and see what you want to do, and then trim it however long you want it to be. And then you'll just want to grab a hot glue gun, and you're just going to tack down a little bit of hot glue and lay down your hanging loop, okay? So again, this is going to be the back. It does not have to be beautiful. Okay, and I'm just using my scissors so I can see, I'm just sort of like tapping it into place. When you use hot glue, we're going to use some more later, but be very, very careful. It gets so hot. It can really, really injure you if you're not careful. So whenever we use hot glue, I always say to be very, very careful. And if you get a little blob like I did, it just peels right off. It's fine. Okay, so we have our surface prepped, and you want to make sure this is completely dry and cool before you flip it over and lay it on the table. But what we're going to do is we're going to start making our 1 round hearts that are super duper easy to make, and we're going to place them around our little wreath. To make a 1 round heart, what we're going to do is put a slip stitch on our hook. So wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop and tighten. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see a little bit better. So the first thing we need to do is make a loop to work all of our stitches into. So what we're going to do is chain 4. To make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to join in the chain farthest from our hook to create the ring. So insert the hook into the farthest chain from the loop, bring up that loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. You can open up that ring a little bit because we're going to put a lot of stitches in there. And also we're going to hold this tail along the edge as we work, and that way it will weave in the end as we go along. The first thing we want to do is we're going to work a chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to work a double crochet into the center of the ring. So wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Then we're going to work a treble crochet. So wrap yarn around hook 2 times, insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook this time. Wrap yarn around hook, bring through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring through the next 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring through the last 2 loops. Then what we're going to do is push everything over. Now you're going to have, like I said, a lot of stitches in here. And we're going to work 2 double crochet. So 1 and 2. Just like that. And then what we're going to do is work a slip stitch. So insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, now bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. We're working that top, if we look at our heart over here, that sort of rounded part of the heart now. So continue around. What we're going to do now to make that other rounded part of our heart is to work 2 double crochet. So 1, whoops, and 2. Then again, we're going to work a treble crochet. If you need to see any of these stitches again, just back up the video. You can watch them as many times as you want. Then we're going to work 2 double crochet. So it's very similar to what we did on the other side. Just like that. Then what we're going to do is work 3 single crochet. We're going to start coming down the side and arrive at the point. So we're going to work 3 single crochet. Insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. That's 1, 2, and 3. Then to create that point, we're going to work a treble crochet, the bottom part of our heart. And then to finish off the heart and come back up the other side, we're going to work 3 single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. To finish off the heart, we're going to join with a slip stitch to close the round. Remember that chain 3 we did at the beginning of the round? You count 3 chains up and then join to close with a slip stitch, okay? So our heart is a little bit kind of lumpy looking right now. So what we want to do is cut the yarn and slide our scissors over. And then we can wrap yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop there. And then that tail that we wove in as we went along, you can pull that nice and tight. Grab your scissors and give that a snip. Okay, so that end is taken care of. And then it's still a little lumpy, that's okay. We will take care of that in just a sec. But grab your tapestry needle, and what you're going to do is just thread the tapestry needle with your yarn and then flip it over to the back. The side that faced you while you worked is the front, and you want to make sure when you glue your hearts that they're all going to be facing the right way, facing out. Okay, and we're just going to weave that tail in, just kind of tuck it up out of the way here. And then our heart is complete. Okay, so what we want to do is sort of like get in that little divot there, kind of push down, shape up these rounded areas up here, and then at the bottom you can kind of sharpen up that point, that heart point that we created, and you have a lovely little heart. So we're going to go and off camera, and I'm going to make a bunch more hearts. You want to make sure you make them in pink and red and white, and just make a whole bunch of hearts, enough to cover this. And then we're going to rejoin in just a moment, and we're going to learn how to kind of place them on our little mini wreath and glue them down and get them all nice and positioned, and then our wreath will be ready to go. So this is a nice little project that is going to not take a whole lot of time. So continue making hearts. Now if you want to just do, let's look at our yarn again. If you want to just do like 2 colors, or if you want to incorporate all the colors, it's totally up to you. But we're going to go ahead and make some more hearts, and we'll rejoin in just a moment, and we're going to kind of put it all together. So I went ahead and made the rest of my hearts. I made hot pink, light pink, white, and red. And then what I did, if you can see, I have them sort of pinned and tacked down to my cardboard, and I did them in sort of like an ombre order. So I did white, light pink, darker, hot pink, and red, and I went all the way around. So if you decide to pin them like I did, what you'll need to do is carefully lift them and do each one at a time. The first one you'll want to do, and be very careful, and you also want to make sure that you cover this cardboard all the way. And if you notice, I also have the loop pinned down as well. So I want to start by gluing the loop first, okay? So what we can do is just carefully pull that out, and you'll want to make your loop large enough to fit on whatever it is you plan on hanging. So if you are going to put this on like a doorknob or something, you want to make your loop a little bit larger than mine. I believe this one is going to go in a window, so this little loop is perfect for what I need. And always try to use an implement to kind of press that down if it's a small item, because when it oozes out of the sides it could burn you. So just be very, very, very careful with hot glue. It has burned me more times than I can count. Now the first one you want to start, because if you notice, we sort of overlapped them. I just want to leave about this half of it unglued for now, because it's going to go up over this next one. So just put glue down half of the first one, and not to worry, everything will be very nicely tacked down. Okay, so go ahead and start with your first heart here, and just position it very carefully, just like that. And I left this side unglued because as we go around, this will be the last one we glue, and we need to sort of tuck it up underneath, okay? So just make sure everything is glued down, and you want to strike a balance. As you'll work, you'll kind of figure out what that is, but you want to strike a balance between too much glue, which will ooze out and be a mess and come up through the heart, but not enough and it won't stay down. So if you want to just do a test flip and make sure there's a little bit of red peeking out from all the ends, it's fully covered the cardboard, okay? Now these are starting, because I'm flipping it around, they're starting to fall off, but that's okay, we're gluing them down. So move on to the next heart. And you may want to also remove the one next to it, just to kind of give yourself a little space. This one can have glue on all of it. So just give it a nice little blob of glue. And then what you're going to do is very carefully, without touching the glue, sort of just overlap it. Okay, make sure you're covering up that cardboard. So I'm going to go around my entire heart and tack all this stuff down, and we'll rejoin in just a moment. And I'm going to show you how to kind of do that last heart where we were talking about tucking it in. All right, here's our last little heart. And what we're going to do for this one is I'm going to lay the glue down first, just because I want to see where we need it, and then we can always tuck some more. And we're just going to tuck that in the best we can here, making sure, lift it up if need be, making sure that cardboard is covered. Now you'll just want to go around with your hearts and just make sure all those little ends, and we can glue this red one down now that we've got this last heart on here. But just make sure all the little ends and everything are nice and tacked down. And because over time, if it's hanging vertically, the little sides, sorry about that, my glue gun keeps flopping down and making a bunch of noise. But over time, as it hangs, these edges could start to kind of sag down. So just make sure everything's nice and tacked down. And our little wreath is complete. Now again, this is the mini version. And so this will be probably going in a window. Very cute. You could hang this on a mirror. You can hang it in a small spot, a doorknob, something like that. So that is how you crochet the Tiny Hearts Wreath. Be sure and hop on over to the blog to see the larger wreath as well. So now you can see the larger one and the mini one. You could also hang one and then hang one down below and sort of make like a wall hanging. That would be cute too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.